welcome to yet another episode of Resume Wars. Again, the jobs are real, the resumes are real, the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Today, we've got Jon Heder versus Tom Hardy. Now, Jon has a unique background that includes a lot of accounting and finance for hotels. And we've got Tom Hardy, who's got a GM and AGM background. And to help pick apart these resumes today, we've got Colette, Gustavo, Michael, and myself. Again, guys, thank you for being willing to take some time to thoughtfully go through each of these resumes.
You're welcome.
So let's start right off if we can. Tom Hardy, and let's just go with Gustavo. Kick us off here. What did you think about Tom Hardy's resume?
Just so you know, I brought Mike Tyson today to this war, so don't mess with me, okay? Be careful.
I'm looking for the tiger in the room, if you don't mind.
Yeah. and I have Bruce Lee on the side, so be careful.
Wow, are you a licensed weapon at this point there, Gustavo?
All right, so Tom Hardy, the accomplishments, again, moving from tasks to really listing accomplishments, those should be highlighted first. And, you know, he has listed a list of skills, which I actually like. He breaks them down into professional skills and into technical skills. If you're going to list a skill, it's a good idea to try to convey that skill as part of your resume through accomplishments. Okay. So, you know, if you list revenue management, make sure that revenue management is listed. If you're listing problem solving, tell me something about that problem solving. I know that sometimes it's hard, but if you look at your day-to-day job, you will find examples that you can put. I'm okay with the formatting. You know, I have to admit, I'm a little bit easygoing on the formatting because I know it's about preference more than anything. But I'm jumping. I have to admit that I'm like, where do I start? Do I start to the left? Do I start on the top? Okay, no, let me go to the work experience. Well, hold on. Let me go back up. And formatting is crucial because it leads the eyes. And if the person reading it is just not comfortable, they're going to skip and say, okay, enough, next resume. So that to me prevented me from actually seeing anything positive. The only other thing that I would say is, you know, he does have good education. Certainly a guy that studied. But again, I get distracted by all the other stuff.
Fair point. Good points there, Gustavo. Colette, what are your thoughts on Tom Hardy?
And I actually agree to some points. It is a little left, right, where to concentrate. But what I did like was that not only did he include some, at least financial information, some of those points, but then awards that the hotel won, or, you know, you could see his passion for the local experience and art or whatever that was. So I actually appreciated that level of detail and including some of that because you got a sense of who he was.
Okay.
The one big thing that I found disturbing was at the bottom of the first page where it just says extra and it just has 500 most influential people and it's in a different font and it just seems like stuck on there as an afterthought.
Yeah, I can't believe you're doing this.
And I was like, why? If somebody could tell me why.
I didn't even notice that was there until you actually brought it up.
Yeah, I was like, extra what? Extra what? Extra cheese on my burger? I'm confused as to what the point of it was. So that was my big on that one.
Got it.
Extra cheese on my burger. Okay, then. Moving on. For those of us who are hungry now,
time for lunch.
Michael, what are your thoughts on Tom Hardy before we have lunch?
Hey, I did the same thing. I circled extra and put a big question mark by it. If their accomplishments, they're pretty good. My thoughts are he only needs to go back 10 years. And another one, it's probably going to be hard for the ATS or applicant tracking system to read it. Though I did think he had some great accomplishments, and I like the simple formatting, but there's shifts there. There's font shift size, and like Gustavo, I didn't know where to look.
No, I don't trust you anymore.
It was hard. But if I ignored the left side and folded it in half, you got like a normal resume there.
If you squint and look just this
I
way,
know.
And the sun reflects in just the right angle.
exactly.
Right.
At the summer solstice, yes, okay. Well, I'll tell you, I actually thought his format wasn't that bad. And I didn't like the word extra. He could have found a better phrase for it, but I did like he kind of gave some roundabout accomplishments and he put them at the bottom. One of my pet peeves is when people put all this stuff up top and I have to scroll all the way down to get to his experience. So I liked that part. With that being said, I'm a big fan of bullet points, but I personally think when it comes to his area GM role at Oliver Twist, there's just far too many of them at that point.
Making the effort to try to be good is really, really important, but being yourself is more important.
You don't need them all at that point. And again, my other pet peeve is it's helpful to explain why you leave each role. Again, we can assume, but it always just helps. Say promoted, relocated with family, whatever it may be. In that case, why leave the chance? So those are my pluses and minuses for Tom Hardy. Now that takes us to, of course, our buddy Napoleon Dynamite himself, Jon Heder. And by the way, I have to preface this. As we said before, this was not actually Jon Heder, of course. This is another candidate, and they chose that name as their pseudonym, if you will. I have to follow my sword here and to tell you that I had no earthly idea who Jon Heder was. So I feel like less than a man right now.
I have no idea.
Just
Once you said Napoleon, whatever it is, I was like, oh, okay, I can picture him.
I had no clue who he was. So again, Jon Heder, I am so sorry. I probably need to watch more of your movies. Colin, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about Jon Heder's resume?
Formatting was problematic.
Okay.
Yes, your name is Jon Heder, but it's a bit large. And having everything not lined up, I visually have issues with that. But in addition, although it was easy to read, which I appreciated, I really felt like it needed to be pushed onto a second page.
Okay.
Because it's really pushing the margins out and not leaving any blank space. So I would have liked to seen maybe a little less wide, maybe onto a second page. But as far as the actual work experience, I thought he did a really good job of showing his progression. He gave numbers, he gave facts, some scope, not just a job description. Of actual accomplishments.
Perfect. Michael, what are your thoughts about Jon Heder?
Well, I would first of all take off the personal interest. I found them to be awkward, but I'm pretty cool that he is a Rubik's Cube enthusiast. Wasn't sure that they made them, and I'm not sure what an electric skateboard is anymore. So that dates him, and it dates me. Otherwise, his font shifts are awkward, but he had good use of metrics and what he did to make a difference in his roles. It's a nice, simple resume. It's easier to read. However, I think if it was centered on the top or moved to the left or moved to the right, and the personal interest was taken out, it would be an okay 1.5 page resume.
I feel like I can do anything. It's the only place where life makes sense.
Okay. Gustavo, what are your thoughts on Jon Heder?
I actually don't have a problem with the formatting. I'm giving a pass. It appears this is a recent graduate, starting out. couple of years of experience. And I actually like the fact that it's on one page. He's not trying to overdo it. Hold on a second. That's my mother calling.
Fantastic.
And I do like the way it's laid out. This to me gives me I see it as a good resume from the perspective of easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
The personal interests, I didn't have a problem with it from the perspective that, okay, you're kind of starting out. I know that in schools, in many schools, they train them that way. But overall, I actually liked it. I would like to have a little bit of data about each of the hotels. Again, scope, number of rooms, revenues, etc. And yeah, I was concerned about the short stints, but I'm going to attribute that to the fact that he was probably in school. This is a person from another country. And I did like the progression. So overall, from a formatting standpoint, I will probably be more comfortable with this resume, understanding the stage this individual is in, and the fact that he gave some good examples, particularly accomplishments and scope within the resume.
Very detailed and great feedback there, Gustavo. For me, I actually did not mind the personal interests. It kind of shows a rounded figure, if you will. I like the tech skills in the bottom. I thought they were actually more on point for what he does. It's one of those things where if you got someone who's an accountant and they're great at, Adobe Photoshop, well, okay,
yeah,
fantastic, but what does one have to do with the other? So he kept his skills on brand, if you will.
I had no idea. None of that stuff is staged whatsoever. It's just kind of in the moment.
One thing I thought, I get that it would appear to be a little bit off kilter, but he has the WePuff Solar in there, and it's not part of his industry. It's actually separate from that. So that might be an idea to maybe put that outside of the industry, outside of your, have it down below potentially. Need more numbers for the staff accountant. And he also job hopped a bit. So, at least according to the resume, why, explain why he left. So those are my thoughts. With that being said here, as we begin to wrap up, I wanted to kind of run the room here. Gustavo, if you had to pick Tom or John?
I'm going with the unknown, Jon Heder.
You're going to go with Jon Heder. All right. And Colette, what are you going with?
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to have to choose John also.
All right. Michael.
John was my first pick too.
Until I took a trip to the other side of town.
John was your first pick.
Come on, Chris.
And I'll tell you what, we are going to make it 4 in a row here for you. I also was going with Jon Heder. I was rooting for Napoleon, and he's good to go. So, again, we had Jon Heder with the clear-cut victory. Again, thank you guys for taking time for today, and thanks for watching this episode of Resume Wars. We'll see you again next time.